And welcome to the channel. Damian Jackson here, back with another video. Last night I get a notification on my phone saying that Trump signed the bill. And obviously it's talking about the stimulus bill, COVID-19 relief package, whatever name you want to use, because it seems to be a bunch of different names going out and about throughout this whole stimulus bill package thing. But I think to myself, wait a minute, I don't remember Trump tweeting out that he signed the bill, because I seen on Twitter that he didn't announce anything like that, because I get notifications from Twitter, so anytime he tweets out, I get a notification that he tweeted out something. So I just do a double check. I go back to Twitter and see if he did it, and he didn't. All he said was, good news on the COVID relief bill, more information to follow, something like that. And then this morning I see it again. I'm like, man, did I miss something? And I see other people that I follow on Twitter. I was like, oh, I can't believe, Trump signed this, Trump signed the bill, blah, blah. How it is, he didn't care about the checks and stuff like that. I was like, what are we talking about here? And then I seen in the comment section of one of the posts of someone putting up this statement from the president on whitehouse.gov. But before we get into that, pay attention to the media and how things are always twisted and well, let's be honest, they're trying to get ad revenue, clicks, likes, streams, whatever. And they're either flat out lying or they don't care. So you have the New York Post, you take that for what it is. Some say it's right-leaning, some say it's a tabloid, whatever. You have here where it says Trump signs COVID-19 relief bill with $600 stimulus checks. Check the date, December 27th. 8:11 p.m. that was updated. It says President Trump on Sunday signed a $2.3 trillion COVID-19 relief and government funding bill that includes $600 stimulus checks for most Americans after refusing to accept the deal for days. The nearly 5,600-page bill passed the House and Senate by overwhelming margins Monday night, just hours after its text was released. Monday night, obviously, Monday last week, December 21st, I believe. Get my date right. But 5,600 pages. So essentially, this is a bill within a bill within a bill. There's a bunch of different bills thrown into one, and they're calling it a COVID-19 relief package. So it makes you wonder, what bill did Trump sign? Well, as it goes down, it talks about Trump saying that they need 2,000 paychecks and stuff. Says Trump signed it several days after saying the legislation was a disgrace and calling on Congress to up the relief payments to 2,000 and scale back. But once again, what bill did he sign? In a statement Sunday night, the president said he would ask for millions of dollars in spending to be removed from the bill. So if he signed the bill, but he also asking to be removed from the bill. Okay, well, maybe they'll clear it up. Maybe there's some confusion that I'm not understanding. That's what I'm thinking as I kind of read some of these other articles, which basically say almost the same thing, which is kind of weird, right? It says, quote unquote, I will sign the omnibus, I guess I'm saying that right, and COVID package with a strong message that makes clear to Congress that wasteful items need to be removed, end quote. So he's saying he'll sign a bill, but take out this stuff. Then it goes on to say, while the president insisted he would send Congress a quote-unquote red line version with items to be removed under the rescission process, those are merely suggestions to Congress. The bill as signed would not necessarily be changed. The bill as signed would not necessarily be changed, and all he can do is give a suggestion? But why is that? That's odd. Okay. I'm like, all right, well, okay, that sounds kind of interesting, whatever. And then it goes on, says, in his statement, Trump said Congress on Monday would vote on a separate bill to increase payments to individuals from $600 to $2,000. Right here. But, oh, God, every time I go to highlight, mess it all up. But notice how it says, I don't need to share to Facebook or Twitter. That's kind of weird that it even pops up like that. But it says in his statement, Trump said But yet the only things in quote is increased payments to individuals from $600 to $2,000 to vote on a separate bill. But how's it a separate bill? Are they creating a new bill? Or is it the same bill encompassed within these 5,600 pages of other bills that's thrown in there? But then you go to Forbes article and it says Trump signs stimulus bill. PPP second draw provides a shot in the arm for small businesses. Says after months of congressional negotiations and a delay of its own in agreeing to the measure, President Trump on Sunday signed into law a $900 billion stimulus package that prevents the government from shutting down, enables unemployment benefits to continue, extends a moratorium on evictions, and offers a desperately needed lifeline for struggling small businesses. Whoa, this is crazy. So within one signature, Trump signed a bill for the PPP loans, which is a payment protection program loans. This article is all about talking about that and small businesses. And it's saying a $900 billion stimulus package. Yet here over here, we're talking about the $2.3 trillion COVID-19 relief package. Huh. Is right? Is it confusing? Am I confused? Is this meant to be confused? I don't know. I'm kind of odd. Like, what's going on? Down here to the side, it says GOP lawmaker behind bipartisan COVID-19 package backs $2,000 checks. Well, who exactly is behind the package? Huh, okay. Whatever. So then you go on to Senator Kevin Cramer from North Dakota. And because you try to find the text of the actual documents of the bills and the 5,600 pages, and I was on the House.gov website, couldn't really find it. Maybe I couldn't search it properly. I don't know. I even searched by most recent bills introduced by date. Still couldn't find it. Hey, maybe it was introduced later on in back date, and I just don't know it. Kind of interesting, though. Probably was. Kind of interesting, too, how these articles have about this bill, but you can't, I don't know, give me a link. You sell me a bunch of ads, but you can't give me a link to where the actual document is. So I can read it for myself. I'm sorry. I just want to read it for myself. Maybe I just want to take the time, my own personal time to read it. It says Senator Cramer, PPP loan forgiveness bill included in bipartisan COVID-19 relief proposal. So when Trump signed the bill, what bill did he sign? Because there seems to be a lot of different bills included in this COVID-19 relief proposal, or this COVID-19 relief bill, or this COVID-19 relief package, or this stimulus bill, this stimulus package. Are these words actually interchangeable, or do they have their own specific definitions for each case that you're talking about, for each situation? Or maybe they just have their own definitions and these different articles are not, I don't know, using the words correctly, but that seems kind of odd too. In the first paragraph, it says U.S. Senator Kevin Cramer, Republican in North Dakota, a Senate Budget Committee and Senate Banking Committee member, announced today the Paycheck Protection Small Business Forgiveness Act, his bipartisan legislation to streamline forgiveness of Paycheck Protection Program, PPP loans for small businesses, is included in the bipartisan bicameral COVID-19 relief package being considered in Congress. So this is on December 15th. I believe the original package was written up around December 6th or somewhere around that time frame. So then this is also another bill thrown into a humongous bill. And that's why it's 5,600 pages long. They just keep throwing bills in because they hope that not everybody reads all these things. And I mean, not everybody, not us regular people, but the people in Congress that are there and seem to be there forever, whatever. They are hoping that they don't actually read some of these pages in this bill and they just go ahead and vote on it real quickly and that's it. So to come to the statement that the president made that was issued on December 27th about budget and spending, Probably not to read all this because, well, you'll get bored. It says, as President of the United States, it's my responsibility to protect the people of our country from the economic devastation and hardship that was caused by China virus. Sounds like Trump words, right? You gotta throw it out there, China virus. And he's making sure you know that, hey, I understand that many small businesses have been forced to close as a result of harsh actions by Democrat-run states. Many people are back to work, but my job is not done until everyone is back to work. Even though your job is not to overstep either, make sure he stays within his boundaries, because we don't need a dictator. We don't need someone out here signing a whole bunch of executive orders and doing whatever they want to do as president. We need balance and checks within these powers obstructions and stuff like that. He goes on because he has to feel himself a little bit. He's not he's not shy of his narcissistic tendencies either. Oh, I signed this, I did this, passed this CARES Act. Okay, cool. It says, as president, I have told Congress that I want far less wasteful spending and more money going to the American people in the form of $2,000 checks per adult and $600 per child. It says, as president, I am demanding many rescissions under the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. The act provides that whenever the president determines that all or part of any budget authority will not be required to carry out the full objectives or scope of programs for which it is provided, or that such budget authority should be rescinded for fiscal policy or other reasons, including termination of authorized projects or activities for which budget authority has been provided, the president shall transmit to both houses of Congress a special message describing the amount to be reserved, the relevant accounts, the reasons for the rescission, and the economic effects of the rescission to U.S.C. 680, Section 683. So United States Code to United States Code Section 283, if I'm saying that correctly. Then he says, I will sign the omnibus and COVID package with a strong message that makes clear to Congress that wasteful items need to be removed. I will send back to Congress a red line version, item by item, accompanied by the formal rescission request. Pay attention to the verbiage, formal rescission request to Congress, insisting that those funds be removed from the bill. He's letting you know, he's stating that he does not actually have the power to do anything other than to send a formal rescission request. That's all he can do. That's all he can do. That's all he can do. He goes on to say, on Monday, the House will vote to increase payments to individuals from $600 to $2,000. Therefore, a family of four will receive $5,200, $5,200. Additionally, Congress has promised that Section 230, which so unfairly benefits big tech at the expense of the American people, will be reviewed and either be terminated or substantially reformed. Then he goes on, likewise, the House Senate have agreed to focus strongly on the very substantial voter fraud which took place and all these different things. So you have to wonder too, at this point in time after reading that, my first thought was, what's the Impoundment Control Act of 1974? Never heard of this shit in my life. Obviously, I need to educate myself. You go to the budget.house.gov website, it says the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. What is it? Why does it matter? Oh, look, link to download the PDF. Shocking. It says this was on October 29th, 2019, so October of last year. So the Impoundment Act says the Congressional Budget of Impoundment. I hope I'm saying that right. Well, I feel like I'm not. Whatever. Control Act of 1974, or ICA, reasserted Congress' power of the purse. The budget. Specifically Title X of the Act, Impoundment Control, established procedures to prevent the president and other government officials from unilaterally substituting their own funding decisions for those of the Congress. The act also created the House and Senate Budget Committees in the Congressional Budget Office. So this act stops the president from doing what he wants to do. So he can only do a formal suggestion. That's it, a formal request. That's all he can do. So should I criticize Trump for allowing this, for signing to the bill and letting some of these things go in? Or do I criticize him for following the law and going about it the formal way, the way of the law? Then you have to question, why was this act even created? Oh, look. Why was the ICA necessary? Congress passed the ICA in response to President Nixon's executive overreach. His administration refused to release congressionally appropriated funds for certain programs he opposed. While the U.S. Constitution broadly grants Congress the power of the purse budget, the president, through the White House Office of Management and Budget and executive agencies, is responsible for the actual spending of funds. The ICA created a process the president must follow if he or she seeks to delay or cancel funding that Congress has provided. Oh my God, is Trump just following the process of the law? Like I said, what do you criticize him for? Following the law or for not overstepping his boundaries? Interesting, right? What does impound fund means? An impoundment is any action or inaction by an officer or employee of the federal government that precludes federal funds from being obligated or spent, either temporarily or permanently. And basically, the ICA works in a way to reduce, delay, or eliminate funding in an account. And then the act divides the impoundments into two categories: rescissions and deferrals. So the only way for Trump to get rid of the things that are in this COVID-19 relief proposal, this 5,600 page bill with a bunch of bullshit in it, because it's bullshit, we know that, is for him to take the legal process and go through a formal request. A formal request. Then it has what a rescission is and what the deferrals are. Excuse me. It says the 2018 Government Accountability Office legal opinion holds that if the president proposes a rescission, he or she must make the effective funds available to be prudently obligated before the funds expire, even if the 4 or 5 day clock is still running. This means, for example, that the president cannot strategically time a rescission request for late in the fiscal year and withhold the funding until it expires, thus achieving rescission without congressional approval. So this was kind of brought up last year to stop him from doing anything before the end of the fiscal year. For the government, the end of the fiscal year is September 31st, and then October 1st starts a new fiscal year. So he has to do it before the 45 day clock window or something like that, if I said it correctly. Because it goes down to explain why it's important. It says, today, 45 years after the ICA became law, Congress once again confronts a president attempting to push past the long-recognized boundaries of executive budgetary power. This year, for the second straight year, the Trump administration reportedly considered issuing rescission requests for certain foreign aid and security assistance accounts less than 45 days before the end of the fiscal year, when the funds in question would expire. Remember, this is last year. This is on October of 2019. In the closing weeks of the fiscal 2019, OMB was, I forget his what, Office Management Budget, something like that. I just saw it too. Yeah, Office of Management Budget. Man, government and their acronyms. Super simple shit. I shouldn't even looked at it. And so the OMB withheld funding in these accounts in a manner inconsistent with long-standing procedures and policies. The House Budget and Appropriations Committees have serious concerns that President Trump and his administration violated the ICA in withholding these funds. The committees are examining when, why, and how these funds were withheld, and whether these actions prevented agencies from spending the full amount that Congress provided for these activities, thus thwarting the will of Congress. Congress will not bend to executive overreach. And that's the key thing out of all this, executive overreach. Like I said, do you criticize President Trump for having executive overreach, or do you criticize him for following the law this time around? Makes you wonder too. Did he 2 years in a row? Then this year he decides, let me follow it correctly. To finish off the paragraph, it says it will defend its constitutional power of the purse and the fundamental checks and balances that are critical to our constitutional republic. So once again, we should be paying attention to what they do in Congress, what the House of Representatives do, what the senators do. If you go to the website house.gov and just look at all the random bills that they introduce. They did introduce a lot of shit. Most shit don't get turned into law, doesn't pass anywhere, but there's a lot of random things out there. As I was doing kind of research for this video, I looked at it, I'm like, there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of just, some of it is random, some of it's just little small things, and some of it's just there. It's almost like some people just want to have a bill created and signed almost as if to do their job or maybe listen to their constituents. I don't know. But as I was seeing the different notifications from media outlets and seeing what Trump really didn't talk about at all, and I think he tweeted earlier today talking about the same thing, voting on the stimulus checks and getting rid of Section 230. So once again, the criticism comes down to, do you get mad at him for having executive overreach, or do you get mad at him for following the law? Is it a catch-22? Catch-22? Is it a rock between a hard stone? Wherever the case may be, wherever metaphor or expression you want to use. But what really it comes down to is this. People in government is bullshit. They're, once again, a joke. The shit that they do, the shit that they say, all this bureaucracy and legislation that goes on, it's like, why? Why? You should only do things for American citizens. You should only do things for this country at the federal level. That's it. No foreign aid, none of this shit. You got to stop with this foreign aid. I don't care if Trump does it. I don't care who the fuck does it. Stop all these things. Why is it such an issue? Why is all this being such an issue? Because whichever side you support, understand this is all political theater. And what you're witnessing is moves and counter moves. You're witnessing a masterful game of chess, probably by one side, maybe by the Trump administration, or maybe by the Democrats, or not the Trump administration. Let's be honest, it's the globalists that operate within our Congress, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, are the same people. So you have people that care about the country, then you have people that care about the country and our sovereignty. And you have the people that are globalists. And there's more globalists than there are people that care about sovereignty of citizenship in this country. Plain and simple. And what you're witnessing is political theater. And what is the theater for? To provide entertainment and present a show. It's a clown show up on Capitol Hill. It's a fucking circus. This shit is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Check out my links in the description. Subscribe if you like the content. I gotta say subscribe because I checked the analytics on YouTube. You will not find my channel. You will not find my channel. The stuff I talk about, YouTube is not gonna allow in the search engine. So it is what it is. Like I said, if you like the content, go and subscribe. Check the links in the description for my podcast and other things. So until next time.
This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now.